Well, hello everybody and welcome to session 6 of the Profitable Book Incubator book creation course. And I am going to go over really a highlight of what we've covered so far. This is the last session that we have together officially. And I want to make sure that we are all on point with everything we have covered so far. So in review, we talked about why you want a book. What is that motivation? Because that motivation is really what's going to keep us moving forward with our goals and really ensuring that we finish our book. We also talked about your brand and how your book fits into your whole business model so that it becomes another income generating resource. And then we talked about your messaging and doing market research to make sure that we stop thinking about our thoughts and we start thinking about the thoughts of our reader or our clients. So we're delivering messages that's gonna really speak to them and what they need help with. We focus on our target market, so we get really clear on who needs our help the most and who we want to serve the most. And that's when we kind of transition to our book one-pager, which is a one-page document where we start compiling all of our notes, all of our market research. We kind of start playing with our title and our subtitle and everything we have that's associated with our book messaging is compiled into that one document for easy access as well as clarity as we continue to go forward. Then I challenge you to start writing, begin pre-writing and just start getting the juices flowing with your stories and with the teaching points that you want to include in your book. And then as we continued, we talked about what's involved with publishing your book, the phases before you actually finish writing. I encourage you to actually start writing and refining your content. We talked about the book structure, the timeline, and when you wanted to debut your book. Your story is another thing we focused on because story is really important. Not only your story, but the story of our reader and the story of our prospect and how you can position yourself as the person that's going to help them accomplish their ideal story. Then we kind of talked a little bit about we actually worked on your message, the message of your book, and your bio. Both of those are going to be really important in the marketing of you as an expert as well as your book. And today we're going to focus on marketing and a little bit of monetization. We've had 5 sessions so far, but I've actually broken up each of the trainings into separate modules, which makes the whole learning process, I'm hoping, a little easier because now we're going to have little bite-sized trainings and each training is on a specific topic. So at this point, they're all in our portal. There are 12. After today, there will be 12 modules. They're all shorter, and this way you can go through them at your own pace as well as review at your own pace. Okay. And today we are going to focus on marketing and a little bit of monetization. So in today's lesson, we're going to be talking about marketing in 3 separate phases. The first phase is your pre-launch and all of the things that you can do before your book ever gets launched. And then we're going to talk about what you can actually do to launch your book and get the most exposure. And then finally, once your book is launched, there are still things that you can do to continue on getting eyeballs on you and your book. So in the pre-launch stage, the first thing I encourage you to do once you get pretty much set on your title is to purchase your book domain. Now, you may be very lucky and you may find the domain that you actually want of your book just by itself, but you may not. My book is titled Treasured Tribes, and I was fortunate to get that domain. But if for some reason somebody had that domain because it's a very common word, I could have always done Treasured Tribes book or treasuredtribesthebook.com. But whatever you do, you want to make sure that you have some sort of domain that's going to really clearly represent your book. So when you are marketing and when you are sharing things on social media or on your website or anywhere, it's going to be very easy for you to refer to your book. And what I've done with my book, because I right now don't have a specific landing page for that, if you go to treasuredtribes.com, it will actually redirect you specifically to the Amazon page for you to order the book directly off of Amazon. Right now in my business, I don't want to spend a lot of time fulfilling book orders. I will include books on other packages that I have, but if somebody wants to just buy one book, I want them to go to Amazon. I want them to buy the book from Amazon and then go back to Amazon to leave me a review, because I feel that is way more valuable to me and my business than having a $14 book sale. The next thing you want to do is continue to refine your one sheet. You want to take the messaging that we've discussed on a previous module, and you want to make sure you've got your one sentence description of your book, your paragraph description, as well as your one page description or message of your book. And that way, however you're talking about your book, maybe you're speaking and part of the introduction is for somebody to talk about you and your book. You've got the wording already created. And then your bio. You want to make sure that included in your one sheet now is your bio, because that is something that you want to keep updating, but you also want to make sure you have it handy with everything you do that's associated with building your expert brand. Marketing copy. This is the stuff that we're getting and refining through our market research, as well as now you're going to start seeing other people with books marketing their books, and you're going to get a lot of great ideas. And this is where our reticular activating system starts to become more aware of people in the book world. Just like when you're buying a car. Like, I never had a red car before, but now I have a red car. And what I notice now is I see so many other red cars on the road now than I've ever seen before. And specifically, if I see the exact same car that I have in the exact same color, I totally notice that. But beforehand, I would have never even paid attention to that at all. And now that you are an author or soon to be author, you're going to start noticing things that happen out in the world, and having this one page to add those ideas to is really going to help you in the future be really successful with your books. I don't know about you, but I have a lot of many squirrel moments, and I'll see things and I'll get ideas, and I tend to sometimes like go off on tangents and creating something new. But having these specific documents, which I call one pages, for the various focuses of my business, it allows me to take that idea and house it somewhere safe, so I know when I'm ready to work on that project again, that idea is not lost. So just keep this document as an ongoing working magic brain idea thing for you, to just keep compiling data and using it to keep furthering your mission. And then as well with your pre-launch, you want to start thinking about what sort of tchotchkes that you want to have to represent your book. I would definitely get business cards or bookmarks, one or the other. I actually love having a bookmark for each of the books that I have. I also have a QR code on that bookmark. So when I'm networking, I'm using these bookmarks now more than I use my business cards. And then it not only positions me as an author, but it will encourage that person to go on Amazon and buy my book. So those are a couple things you may want to think about creating for your book. Pens, a journal. Now I know, depending on how you publish your book, it can be very simple to create a workbook or a journal that's a companion piece to your book. So that's just something that you may want to think about. I know one of my clients created a really, it's right here. Just got it delivered the other day. It is a really great workbook that she's using in her program that she does, her one-day event. And she's taking the same content and she's creating the same type of a workbook, but for teenagers. It's a female empowerment book, so now she's creating a teenage empowerment book. And it's kind of a companion piece to her book, and she's kind of packaging them together, kind of a buy one, get one. So the women that are in her course also get this companion piece for their daughter or granddaughter or just some younger empowering female that they know. So just think about that. There are a lot of possibilities. And I actually have a couple more in the slides ahead to give you some more ideas. Pack your book with engagement opportunities. So this is where you really want to think about what sort of calls to action you want to include in your book or that you want to have associated with your book. Now this is an example of a book that I bought from Mike Koenig. Now I actually saw him speak one time. He is really, I don't know how well known he is, but he's pretty dynamic speaker in the publishing world, but not necessarily publishing, but more of the marketing. And he's done a great job of creating a lot of opportunities in his business through his books and through his speaking opportunities. And if you were to buy one of his books, I would say every 5 pages, you're going to see some sort of call to action. Now, I think that's a little much, but it's working for him. It's creating opportunities for you as the reader to kind of put the book down, go to his website, and get on his list. So whatever you do, I want you to think ahead on different ways that you can create value for your reader where they're going to put your book down for a moment and go to your website, get what you have to offer, and now get on your mailing list. What I did for our Overcoming Mediocrity book is I actually created a 1-page image at the back of the book. So I didn't pepper the whole book with lots of calls to action, but on the very last page, I included this 1-page call to action to encourage people that read the book to visit the website and learn more about our project and possibly share their story as well. And then for my Treasured Tribes book, I have calls to action on the inside, but initially when I did my big launch, I did a huge launch where I had free books and the people paid for the shipping, and I was signing the books and shipping them out. And what I did is I created a flyer that I included in every single one of the books that would encourage the reader to now go to Amazon when they're done reading the book and leave me some sort of review. Now that's good and bad. And the reason why it doesn't work the best in that process is because if you don't officially buy a book from Amazon, you're not going to be able to leave a review. But a lot of the people that bought my physical book actually got my Kindle book when I did my Amazon promo, so they were still able to leave a review, and so it worked. So with my audience, it worked really well because the women that got the book from me also got the Kindle version through Amazon, and they were able to leave a review, and it allowed me to get a ton of reviews from them. So it was great. So in addition to calls to action, you want to also think about what sort of endorsements you want to have in your book. Now, I am fortunate to be friends with some pretty amazing people. One of them is Bob Berg from The Go-Giver, and he left me an amazing endorsement on the inside of my book, as well as Marla. She's a good friend of mine, and she is a writer for Inc. magazine. And then a mentor of mine, and she coached me for a while, Kathleen Gage. She is a speaker and a successful business coach. And in addition to those three, I got a ton of endorsements. And so what I did is I actually published my book without any endorsements. And then I think I mentioned in the past, I got the book complete, and then I went to Amazon and actually purchased the books as if I was just a buyer. I didn't buy them from my author access. I actually bought them just as if I was buying a book, and I had them shipped to each of the people that I wanted to write an endorsement for me, and I had them gift wrapped. So they got this amazing Amazon package. They opened it up, and the book was in this cute little bag with a little note for me. And I believe that's why I got a lot of endorsements, is because it really impressed them that I took that extra effort to go through the process to send them that little gift. So just an idea, but endorsements are very powerful, not only in the book, but on your marketing, on your website, and anywhere else that you can use them to create more awareness around your book. And then in addition to those elements, you want to start thinking about some sort of online presence for your book, some sort of coming soon page or landing page in the funnel that's associated with the purchasing and delivery of the book that you are creating right now. Now, I don't have an example right now for a online process, but I will in a couple slides ahead, so just hold on a little bit. But in addition to that, you want to continue to do your market research to refine the promise, the outcomes, and more importantly, as you continue to do your market research, and I honestly encourage you to once a month have it in your schedule to send out some sort of question to your audience that creates that conversation around the topics of your book, because that's going to help you continue to refine your outcomes and your promises, but it's also going to continue to build your tribe, keep the conversation going, let your tribe know that you relate to their problems, you can answer the questions, provide solutions, and it's just a good way to create that ongoing engagement. And you want to continue to do this so you become known as the queen of your topic. The more you're out there talking about your specific niche area of expertise, the more people are going to recognize you as the go-to person. And when they have somebody that needs the help that you can provide, that little bubble in their head is going to pop up and say, oh, I know Cassie, or I know Amy, or I know Tina. So you want to continue to stay focused on your area of expertise and doing that in a way that people will recognize you as the queen. Lead generation. So let's talk a little bit about lead generation, because the more people you have following you, the more value you are able to provide to your business as well as to your audience. It's exciting when you have people following you, when you have something to share and people are engaged with you. So your fans become your currency. Nobody wants to deliver content to a blank screen or to an audience that's not engaged. So the more people that you can have that are actively connected with you, the more you're going to be able to continue to provide value to them. So the primary place for you to build your audience is always your email list. Now, I don't care how many followers you have on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, that is all great, but none of those are as valuable as your email list. Your email list is your gold. So everything you do, you want to continually drive people to your email list. Even though email seems to be dead, it's not. As long as you're doing your email marketing correctly, you're going to still get your highest conversion through email marketing. But your secondary places to build an audience are still in the different outlets, the different resources like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, your podcast audience, and LinkedIn. So you want to continue to build those, and you want to be very specific in which ones are best for you and your audience. You can't do all of them, and you shouldn't do all of them. And you may have some sort of automation that will just automatically disseminate your content to the various places, and that's fine. But you want to pick two that is your main area of a focus that you actually invest your time in. So you want to do that based on where your ideal clients actually hang out. So you want to choose the best two, and you want to continue to stay active and engaged in the audience in those specific areas. The next thing you want to do is start mapping out your online launch funnel plan. And this is where I'm going to kind of show you some examples. But let me kind of show you a little bit about the profit centers associated with your book. Now, as you're building out a funnel, there are different options. You know, it's not just a one size fits all funnel that every business is going to engage in and work, and that's going to work for their business. So I would say that the easiest one, the one with the less results, but the one most people do, is just direct people to Amazon for sales. And honestly, that's what I'm doing right now, because my Treasured Tribes book is not the main focus of my current business. It was 7 or 8 years ago, but not so much anymore. But that's where you have minimal profits, you have no engagement, and you're not building a list. But before that book came out, I started building a list. I started my pre-launch funnel by giving out a specific chapter. And that allowed my audience to have a free download. It allowed me to upsell them into purchasing the paid book. And more importantly, it got them on my list. So as you're doing your pre-launch marketing strategies, doing a free chapter may be a really important piece of that puzzle. That is a good one, but to get even better, you could do online book sales. Now, of course, that's going to be minimal profits. When you sell your own book online, you know, you are making maybe $10 a book, but you're also spending the time to fulfill that order. So, you know, that may be a good fit. It may not be a good fit. But if you do online book sales, I would encourage you to have some sort of upsell offer into something, whether it's just maybe an hour training course that's associated with your book, or a bunch of resources, or a companion workbook. Whatever that is, I would encourage you to have something that is an upsell for some people to take that extra step to work with you a little bit more. And even if they don't buy at that moment, make sure you have your email follow-up sequence that will encourage them to possibly buy it at a later time if they don't buy it at that initial time. So that's a really good strategy. Not only does it bring you in a little more revenue, but it gets those people on your list. And then the fourth idea for you to create a funnel, and I feel that this is a really good, powerful way to build a lot of value for your business, is to just give away your book completely free. And you see a lot of people in the online marketing world do this, where they'll offer their book for free. All you have to do is pay shipping. It's a huge funnel attractive opportunity for your business as well as your audience. You're going to have some sort of upsell offer in there as they're going through the checkout process. You want to make it super duper simple for them to just click another button and get something else that's got a lot of value. This is going to create a lot of volume for you. So you're going to get a lot of people on your list, and now you're really creating that know, like, and trust factor with them, and you're going to have some sort of follow-up that's going to offer them some other product or service that you offer in your business. Now, I've seen people go through this process where they do a free book offer, upsells to some sort of training, and then I get emails for some sort of $500 program. Now, there are a lot of options that you can do, but that free book offer, of course, they're paying for the shipping, but that is going to create a lot of volume for you, and it will get you great results if you have the next following steps strategically outlined that's going to allow you to accomplish whatever goals that you have in your business. So these are other tchotchke ideas and other ways for you to upsell or cross-sell your business and your book. This is a friend of mine. She started the Boss Women Pray community years ago, and then she launched her book. Now she's got Boss Men Pray. She's got a bunch of t-shirts and mugs and all kinds of things, but she has done a really great job of just cross-branding her book and creating a lot of cross-selling opportunities for her audience. And I'm going to show you another example of a really good process for you to pre-sell and cross-sell your book. Oh, wait, sorry, wrong slide. So pre-sales. So while you're kind of continuing to think about, or before you actually launch your book, this is a process for you to possibly get book orders. Now, for our books, we actually have a physical form for our authors to use because they don't all have a website and the technology to create an online pre-sale system, but it's not difficult. You can actually create a pre-sale process through PayPal and or Stripe. So it's not difficult. If you have a PayPal account, this is something that you could very easily do and just create a PayPal button for people to actually purchase your book online through their system. So we're going to talk about some deployment promotion strategies. So as you are creating conversations around your book, these are some ideas for you to create engagement with your community. One of them is when you first sign the publishing agreement with your publisher, even if you're working with a self-publisher, or even if maybe you're working with somebody to design your book cover, or you hired somebody to lay out your book. Each one of those steps in the process is a good way for you to kind of create energy around your book. You know, do a post about you working with this person, how excited you are, and you know, just create conversations around the process. Create conversations around what inspired you to write this book. I'm sure there's a reason why. These are great conversations for you to create posts and blog posts and social media lives and various things to get people excited about your upcoming book. Each one of the topics of your chapters are conversations that you can create that will allow people to be connected to you in your book and the promise of your book. And you want to start using all of these different focuses to start building hype around the launch day, the upcoming launch date of your book and when it's going to be coming out. You don't want to just launch your book and say, okay, it's here. You want to take the first couple months to really create a lot of energy around your upcoming book. And you want to talk about the promotion and what you're doing to really offer people some sort of exciting opportunity to get your book, whether it's a free book, whether it's a free chapter, whether they get a free companion piece with it, whatever you're doing, you want to really talk about that as much to create a lot of ideas. So those are just different ideas for you to start creating energy around your book before you actually launch it. But now your book is done. It's in your hands, and what do you do now? So these are some ideas. First thing is you're going to send out a press release. As soon as your book is done, you really want to get that out in as many media channels as possible. You want to do local channels as well as online channels. You can actually go to Fiverr, or we use Upwork, with people that are experienced in press releases. We do international press releases for our books. Now, it doesn't necessarily get us local exposure, but every one of those national press releases that gets put out in the various, hundreds of media channels out there, we can take those and then share them to our local community or our online community. When we get a press release that's really hits it big, we then take that press release and share it to our Facebook group. I share it to my business page. I share it on my personal profile. And it takes that one little piece of exposure and multiplies it. Local press is good too, because the more local press you get will create the possible opportunities for people to want to bring you into their show, bring you on their podcast. There's just a lot of ways that those press releases could create opportunities for you. So what does a press release look like? Now, this is just an example of a press release that we do, and they're pretty standard. You could pretty much Google what a press release is going to or should include. But the biggest thing is you want to make sure that you include topics that are going to be interesting to the community and to the world right now. So I guess a good example of this, and you can see down here, I mean, this is a press release for our collaborative book, and our collaborative books have a variety of topics in them. So it makes it a little easier to get picked up by media because we've got so many important and interesting topics. But you can see down below where we've got leadership lessons and overcoming self-sabotaging beliefs. So we've taken elements that are contained in our book and we use them as kind of media pitches that will be attractive to local press outlets. Another way is to take your specific topic that your book is a part of, and now look at what's going on in the culture today. Look what's going on in the communities today. And so say we're having a lot of conversations about diversity. You know, your book may not have anything to do with diversity, but there may be an element that you can connect to diversity and then put a twist on how your book is speaking to diversity. And so if there's anything that you can connect your book to something that's going on in today's culture, that will be really attractive to local media people, and it will be a better way for you to get picked up. So do your homework. See what's going on in the community and in the world today, and see how you can connect the topic of your book to any of those relative topics. Now let's talk about your online launch funnel. This is an example that I'm hoping is going to maybe create some ideas for you and some kind of light bulb moments, because funnels are awesome because they're automated. Once you have your funnel set up, you're done. You don't have to do anything. Now you'll make some changes, you'll tweak it, and you'll keep improving it. But if you have a really good working funnel, it'll keep generating opportunities and revenues for you over and over and over again. So this is a person that I met in my area. She's branded herself as the Flip Chick, and Margaret Wright, she wrote this book, Own It. So she basically flips homes, and she teaches other women how to flip homes. And so she actually had this book that she was launching. This was like probably 4 or 5 years ago. And she had this great ad that she put in Facebook, and she did targeted ads, and she created the pixels on her website. So it was very specific to her, her audience, as well as her specific audience, as well as friends of that audience that have similar interests. And she did a really very smart campaign to generate people to attend her local event. So this is the ad that she replaced. And this is, she basically gave out her free book, and all you had to do is go on, fill out the form, and pay for the shipping. And then this is the form that she had, and it was pretty brilliant. Her husband was a part of her business, and he actually did all of the technology pieces. They had a little video that was on the form, as well as see the little kind of like impromptu photo on the bottom. And it went through the process for you to go ahead and get her free book. And there's a limiter right here. It says only 1,000 free copies available. So that's really important. If people think you have unlimited amount of books available, they may not take action. They may think, oh, I'll come back later and do this. And most people never come back. So you want to have some sort of limiter if possible, or a time frame that they're able to do that. So you can see here the retail value of the book on the bottom. It says that it's $14.68, and you only have to pay $5.95 for shipping. And once you fill out that process, oops, I better redo the slide when I re-record it because it's got my home address on it. Then you go through the next step, and it will allow you to upsell into the audiobook. So they've already created the audiobook. They don't have to do anything to fulfill it, but for only $17, you'll automatically get access to their audiobook. And that's a really easy upsell because they don't have to do anything to fulfill that order. They don't have to take any extra steps. It's just automatically happens. So that's a great upsell. And then once you go through that process, whether you check the yes box or not, you go to the next step, and then you get a congratulations page that will basically thanks you for buying the book and then offers you an 80% discount to the live event that they had coming up. So they were very strategic about the launch of their event, that the outcome that they wanted was to sell seats to the event, the big Flip Chick event that they had going on in Chicago. So that's just an example of how your book should be a part of your business plan. It shouldn't just be some random launch. It needs to be connected to something else that is bigger than just your book. So how do you create now an in-person funnel plan? That was a great online example of a funnel, but now you're going to start speaking and networking. How do you create some sort of process for the people that you meet in person to be able to get on your list? So as I mentioned earlier, you want to have bookmarks or business cards, something that will encourage people to connect with you. I would encourage that you never ever sell a book to anybody cash without getting them on your list. So if somebody wants to buy your book cash, I would still have some sort of receipt or some sort of document that they fill out. Just tell them that you need it for your record keeping purposes, but have them fill out some sort of form so that you get their email address, your phone number, and possibly their address, but more importantly, their email and their name and their phone number. You could also do a text opt-in where maybe you're speaking and you want to give the audience a chapter to your book or something. They can just text a certain number and they have access to that. But whatever you do, you want to make sure that you utilize your book as a way to create people onto your list. So you never sell your book without getting them on your list, of course. You never, ever, ever give away your books for free. You want to communicate to everybody that you talk to that your book has tremendous value. And the minute you give it away for free or discount it, it's just communicating that it's not that good. So you want to stand firm in the belief that your book is worth way more than the $15 or $19 that you're charging. I mean, think about how many hours that you spent creating your book. Never give it away. It's worth way too much to do that. And if it's not worth that much, then go rewrite it and make it better. But I'm sure it is great, and you want to make sure that you never give your book away free. Now, I have at times given away a book free to a client. So I've got a new coaching client and my book was relative to them. I would send that to them as a gift, and that was just an awesome bonus for them. But I always give away some sort of gifts, whether it's a great journal or something. So it still is communicating value, but I don't ever just give it away. That would just be silly. And then never leave home without your books. Gosh, the minute I go somewhere and I don't have my book, I want to kick myself. I wish I would have had the books, and it would have been a missed opportunity. I was actually traveling the week before last, and gosh, it was a fun trip that turned into a business trip that was supposed to be a little more business, but I had ended up by getting a couple of really good networking opportunities where I met some great people, and I had some books with me, so it was good. And it was a great way for people to recognize a little bit about who I was based on that book and the accomplishments that I had created for myself from all of the books I've created. But then that one time I didn't bring the book was probably the biggest opportunity that I missed. I was fortunate to get connected to somebody at a networking event, and she was the speaker at that event, and something happened and I ended up by driving her home, and it was great. We had a great conversation, but she invited me to a one-day workshop the following day, and I'm like, absolutely, I would love to. It was great content and something that I felt would be really helpful for me in my business. And then I went, and I brought my laptop and everything to take notes, but I didn't bring my book. And one of the things that they said initially when you got there is they asked who was already an author. And if you are an author, put your books at the back of the room and you can sell them. I had no books. And the person that I came with had 5 books. She sold all 5, and she actually went out to her car and got more. So she ended up by making more in book sales than she actually paid for the discounted price for the workshop. And I'm thinking, my gosh, even if I would have sold a couple of even if I would have had one of my books in my hand, it would have positioned me in a completely different light to the audience than me standing there saying, I have a book, but not having them with me. I was embarrassed that I didn't have my book. So always have your books with you wherever you go. And then the next thing that you can do as you're launching your book is to schedule and run an Amazon best-selling marketing campaign. Now, we have a great strategy to help our authors, not only in our collaborative books, but our clients hit #1 on Amazon. We never guarantee it, but we've been really fortunate to make it happen. But I'll give you a few tips on what's involved with that without going into every step, but I'll give you a couple great tips. So the first thing is when you run an Amazon campaign, you have a 5-day window to basically at any point in that 5-day window, you need to hit #1 in the charts. So you want to do your research, first of all, to make sure that you are in the right categories for your book that are really going to represent your book correctly. You're going to want to schedule your posts because you don't want to spend 5 days posting and commenting and it'll suck every minute of your day if you don't schedule them. And then I encourage you to take that first day and focus the majority of your efforts on that very first day as soon as possible. What we do is we will schedule 5 days of posts, but we focus all of our energies that first day as soon as we hit the office. And we just basically just flood the waves, the social media channels, our email list. We flood everything with all of our activity in that short window of time, and we constantly monitor it. If you don't hit it right away, then you have to constantly monitor Amazon every single day. Because if your book hits #1 and you miss it, you can't claim your Amazon bestseller because you don't have any proof. You don't even know. And you don't get a report from Amazon saying you hit #1 in a category. The only way you know is by continually refreshing the page on Amazon and watch your book rise to the top. Now, what's funny is you could be down low and up high and go down low again and come up high. It's not like a steady climb because there's so many other things going on in Amazon with all of the other books in your categories. So I would encourage you, if you do an Amazon campaign, to be very selective in the categories that you are choosing. Schedule your posts, but plan the morning of your first day to pretty much be in front of your computer, not only posting, but commenting on your post, sharing it, tagging it, asking other people to post, and just doing so much to really climb to the top of the charts strong and fast. That way you capture a screenshot, which is your proof you hit #1, and then you're done. And so what we do with day 4, day 2, 3, 4, and 5 is we'll pull all of those scheduled posts out, and we continue to do posts to then drive people to buy the physical book on Amazon. So now we hit #1, we can say we're an Amazon best-selling author, but then now we're actually making money because now people are going to buy the actual physical book, because the campaign is a Kindle version and now they're buying the physical book, which is higher royalties for us. So we've got a really strategic plan, but those are some of the highlights. If you decide to do an Amazon campaign, these are areas for you to focus on. Okay, so now those are some ideas of what you can do to launch your book, but now your book has been launched. It's happened a couple days or a couple weeks or a couple months, and what else can you do to create energy around your book? First of all, I would jump into Amazon and create your author profile. Here's an example of mine. Now, you can see there's a lot of books on my library, not only the co-authored books that I've been a part of, and every author and every book is able to claim those books onto their library as well. So that's one of the great parts of being in a co-authored book, is it just kind of adds more value to you as a business owner and another book to your library. But in addition to my books, you can see every time I post a blog post, which I'm embarrassed to show. Well, this is a screenshot from today. But I haven't posted a blog post for 4 months, but it's automatically updated into my Amazon page. Videos, I can post videos on here. I can, there's all kinds of things. If you scroll down on my Amazon profile, there are all different types of things that I can continue to add. But if people Google me, it's great because this is another way to add more rankings to me as a business professional. So once you have a book published, all you do is go to Amazon Author Central. You create your author page. Then you have to go through the process of claiming your book. And then Amazon actually has to approve that book to go to your library. So it is a 2-3 day process for them to approve it. But once they approve it, you get an email and then you'll see your book in your library. So it's kind of fun, especially when you get your first book. It's like, whoa, this is really cool. So there you go. Another thing you can do once your book is launched is go to your various social media profiles and your email signature and update it. You want everybody to know that you've got a book. You want to actually have in your signature your book's name and the link to your book, so people can now not only know you're an author, but they can now buy your book. So I would definitely update everything you have. In LinkedIn and Facebook, you can actually create your book as an event or a published work. And so that's another piece that you can do to add value to your social media profiles. And you can start going out and speaking and start making appearances as if you are an expert in your area. Most meeting planners, that's one of the elements that they look at when they're vetting speakers or bringing people in to talk to audiences is, are you an author? Do you have a book? And now you can actually go out there and you can get on stages. You can get into podcasts and various pieces. You can do book signings. So you can contact local small-time bookstores, local coffee shops. You can do signings. You can invite your audience. You can connect with their audiences. Most bookstores love doing book signings because it doesn't matter to them and it gets traffic in their doors. Most places, even little coffee shops, love having book signings because it brings new customers to their establishments. I would encourage you to schedule a book launch event, something that is going to create a lot of energy around the launching of your book and bring your audience together and your family together. Speaking gigs, get out there and get as many speaking gigs as you can. The topic of your book should be your signature course and it should be your signature talk. So the more you get out there and spread the word, the bigger your audience is going to get and the more people you're going to help and the more fans you're going to have that will want more things from you. I don't know about you, but when I see somebody speak, and I think they're a great speaker, I automatically want to buy their book. And then I go to the website. I want to learn more about them. I've bought programs from people because I've heard them speak. So I would definitely use your book as just that starting point for people to connect with you further. As you're getting out to speak, not only can you get opportunities on other people's stages as a keynote speaker, as a panelist, or maybe an MC, but you can also create your own speaking gigs and do your own workshops or your own meetups or anything that is really in alignment with your area of expertise. You can create your own events to bring your audience together. In addition to in-person events, you can start creating online events and start becoming an expert in all of the different places online to build your audience. You can hold a free masterclass. Masterclasses are really a good way for people to create very powerful funnels. They'll do a 30 or 45-minute free masterclass that will lead people into some sort of paid course or program. Masterclasses are great because it's a live interactive experience. where people are learning from you, but they're also engaging with you. You're engaging with them, and it kind of brings that personalization together. Now, oops, something fell in the background. There are a couple trains of thought about doing master classes. Now, we kind of got in an era where people were doing evergreen master classes, and I'm sure you've seen evergreen classes where you would find some great event that's going on and you sign up for it, and magically it seems to be starting in 15 minutes. And those are good if your business is so big that you can kind of have that automation and have a lesser conversion. But I think these days, the evergreen masterclasses are not as powerful and they don't convert as well as a live masterclass. So it really kind of depends on your business, your audience, and you may want to do some kind of testing to see what works better for you, but masterclasses are a great way for you to get out and do an online event. Podcasting. Not only can you be a guest on other people's podcasts, but you can start your own. You can be an expert in various summits and giveaways, Facebook Lives, Instagram Lives. You know, there's so many things that you can do online that will share your wisdom and bring people into your world. Blog. Not only can you post on your blog, but you can take that same article and share it into other people's blogs. And you can be a guest teacher in other people's communities. There are a lot of people that want your area of expertise that would gladly expose you to their audience because you're a power partner for them and it will help them. And then after, another idea of something that you can do after your launch is begin working right away on your next book. Don't think that you're done. You've got many books inside you. Keep working on the next one. So this is an example of somebody, Shannon. She was in our Influential Women book about 2 years ago now. She wrote her story. She was super excited about her experience with us, and she didn't want to stop. So she created her Success Unwrapped book. It actually launched the same month as our Overcoming Mediocrity book. We were able to help her produce that very quickly. So she had a double launch, she became a double Amazon bestseller campaign, and we're actually helping her with her next book. And I don't think it's been a year since that debut because we actually did 2 books last year. But she's working on her next one that is specifically for leadership. And, keep going. You've got a lot of books inside you, not just one, and we'd love to help you make them all come to life. And then as far as your book goes, you're going to keep writing, but you're also going to keep repurposing your content. Every article, every element from your book can be created into a blog. Then you can take that blog and you can share it as a link on Facebook. You can take that same link and you can share that into Twitter. You can create images that represent that article and post it in different social media outlets. Repurposing is huge. It allows you to continue to help people over and over again with the same information. Because you post tomorrow, that's great, but people 6 months later will never see that. So don't feel that your content is stale. You want to have a really great system that will help you repurpose your content over and over again. There are various WordPress plugins that will help you do that. There are plugins that will help you tweet random posts too and keep randomly throwing things out there into the world. This is a plugin. It's called Tweet Old Posts. I should have checked that to see if it's still active. The thing with plugins, they change so frequently. So this was from about 7 months ago, but that was a really good one that will take your posts and randomly throw them out there in Twitter. And SlideShare. You can take your articles and you can create a slide and you can share them in SlideShare and Scribd. You can create a PowerPoint of your article and share it in SlideShare. I think I just said that. You can create a Facebook Live about that same topic. You can record yourself using a service like Cinch or Audioboo, and then you can post that recording to Facebook or Twitter, or you can use Zoom. Every time you do a recording in Zoom, you can just strip out the audio. Actually, you don't have to strip it out. It's automatically created for you, and you can post that in the Cinch FM and Audioboo. And then the final piece of this training, and I'm not going to go into this in depth today, but it's all about monetization. And I'm actually going to be doing a live training on Saturday morning, 10 p.m. Central, that is a step-by-step process to monetization and how you can create the framework of your book and then use that to construct a very robust, meaty course. You're going to sell that course and teach that course. You're going to transcribe that training, all of the teaching that you shared in your course. Then you have it transcribed, and that is a really good foundation for you to start writing your book. Now, of course, you're not going to take that transcription and just have that be your book, but it's a lot of great content for you to build upon. So the course I am teaching right now is a part of the structure of the next book I'm creating on how to write your own book. So I'm going to go through the whole step-by-step process coming up, and that training will be included in this course when it is complete. Other than that, that is the conclusion of our session 6, and I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and see if anybody has any questions.